Okay, so this video we're going to talk about my concerns for Ninja Gaiden 4. And the last couple videos were specifically addressing people that were making just like outrageous claims and not giving the game a chance essentially, because saying there's witch time, it's MGR2, blah blah blah. Went over it, don't need to go over it again. This time we're going to talk about actual concerns that I have for the game based on looking at mechanics. And some of these things are like derivatives of previous games' mechanics in Ninja Gaiden. Um, Obviously, the one everybody's freaking out about are like Ryu's weapons. Nothing we can do about it. They're DLC. Like, there's nothing more to say, really. Like, it sucks, but nothing we can do. We wait for them, we play with them. Hopefully, there's a good variety. It's a dumb decision, but it's not like a mechanic in the game that could actually like ruin how it plays. There are a couple things that I do have like pretty serious concerns about that nobody fucking talks about because nobody actually like looks at the mechanics. They just parrot dumb shit comparing everything to Platinum Games mechanics, even though Team Ninja's been doing perfect blocks, parries. They're doing perfect dodges now with Neo, weapon swapping, like all that shit. Super mode, even you have like living weapon and Keyblaze, like all that shit is fine. That's Team Ninja mechanics, but these things aren't. The first thing I don't have a clip of, I can't find it, but basically it's how the upgrade system is going to work in this game. So we saw that um, you have to like buy on landing UTs. That in and of itself is fucking stupid because an on landing UT isn't like a technique. It's like tech. And the difference is like a mechanic or a technique in the game is something that the developers like intend you to use. I really don't think on landing techniques were ever um, intended by the developers. I really think on landing techniques were just cool shit that players found out after they played the game a lot. And we saw in one of the like footages that you have to buy that fucking skill. And that makes me nervous that you have to buy other important skills like we saw in Razor's Edge. I think one of the main reasons people like suck at Razor's Edge and don't give it a proper shot to learn it properly is because of the way the upgrade system works. When you have to buy things like wind paths, guillotine throws, on landing UTs, you're very, very limited in your first run of the game. You know, obviously in New Game Plus, this isn't an issue. But a lot of players go straight through the difficulties hard, Master Ninja, Ultimate Ninja. And when you play Razor's Edge like that, you're never able to unlock anything. So they play all for their first three playthroughs, and typically their only playthroughs, are all done with extreme restrictions, and that's why people resort to things like 360 rotate Y spam with the scythe, right? Because they don't have the ability to actually learn how to deal with the enemies properly. Razor's Edge is all about learning to deal with the enemies and like learning what combos and attacks work in certain situations. And because of the shitty upgrade system, players just spam rotate Y just to get through it because they feel so limited and that they can't do anything. And we're seeing a similar thing here. Now it makes it sound like it's basically like how like compared to this, you can't compare to Devil May Cry. How, you know, when you finish normal on Devil May Cry 3 or Devil Hunter and Devil May Cry 5, when you go to the next difficulty, you keep all your unlocks. And it looks like that's how this is going to work. Now, that's okay, but it also could cause problems in terms of balancing. One of the main struggles or like with the previous games is on your first Master Ninja run in Ninja Gaiden Black and Sigma, every Master Ninja run, you have to learn how to manage essence, you have to get your unlocks, you have to like, you have this sense of progression. Ninja Gaiden 2 did it the best, where your first Master Ninja run kind of sucks in the beginning. You don't have anything, you don't have heals, you don't have essence, but you get through it, right? You earn that right. Then you have options. You can do a fresh new save. You can do New Game Plus where you keep everything fully upgraded. You can do New Game Plus where you keep your unlock, or where you have all your weapons, but they're all at level 1. That's, in my opinion, the best way to go about this. So I'm worried that there's going to be too many mechanics gate kept behind unlocks. I'm worried that having it a straight like New Game Plus system, similar to how Devil May Cry has, is going to mean that you're not going to get that fresh Master Ninja experience. So hopefully they at least give the options, but that is a very big concern of mine. Second biggest concern is something I've seen talked about, but I haven't physically seen, and that's the so-called parry clash mechanic. Parry clashes work when like Devil May Cry 5 has it, and also you can even Devil May Cry 3 like specific bosses you can do this with, but to my knowledge, at least in Devil May Cry 3, it's not something you can just do with like any enemy. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but definitely in Devil May Cry 5 and 16, you can pretty much do it anywhere. If you attack the enemy's attack, you open them up. That works for DMC. That works for Final Fantasy 16. That would not work for Ninja Gaiden. In fact, that would borderline ruin the combat flow. But again, I haven't seen this happen in any of the footage, so I don't think it's really true. The only thing people can post to is Mortismal Gaming's video where he talks about this. And when he's talking about it, he's showing B-roll footage of Yakumo's Blood Raven form interrupting an enemy's attack. That's the Raven clan's form of ninjutsu. Just how Nimpo is the Hayabusa's clan's form of ninjutsu. We see Momiji, Ayane, and Ryu all using Nimpo. Then even like Rachel, she doesn't have Nimpo, right? She has sorcery, even though it functions just like Nimpo. Yakumo doesn't have Nimpo. His ninjutsu is Blood Raven. His, special jutsu technique, being able to interrupt attacks, is fine. Ryu's fucking Nimpo just decimates everything. But, so if that's all it is Blood Raven form being able to interrupt attacks, cool. If you can just spam the attack button and have that open up enemies, there's literally perfect dodges and perfect blocks don't ruin your commitment. Being able to spam square and just never worry about what the enemy is doing would 100% ruin commitment and like borderline ruin the game. If they leave that as an accessibility feature, as in something that happens in hero mode or something you have to purchase, then I'm cool with it, as long as I'm not forced to engage it. I don't mind when devs make really hard games and give accessibility features. In fact, I prefer that because that allows games to get harder and harder. And there are examples of this. Rise of the Ronin's an example. Especially when you get to Midnight and Ronin, it's very tough. Elden Ring even, right? Like Souls games, they made the bosses harder in Elden Ring than the previous games, but they wanted to appeal to more people, so they put shit like the Mimic Tear in. Imagine if every time you walked into a boss ring, the Mimic Tear just popped into thin air without you wanting it to. That's kind of the equivalent of what this would be. So if it's a hero mode thing, fine. If it's a purchasable skill that you can completely ignore, fine. If that is actually a mechanic in the game, which again, I haven't seen any evidence for, if anybody has a legit example, let me know. That would be pretty terrible. Like I said, Mortismal Gaming's the only one who talked about this. Mortismal is not an action game player. He's not somebody who looks into mechanics of games he plays deeply. He's an achievement hunter. He's a trophy hunter. That's what he does. He gets the trophies and moves on. He's not sitting there spending hundreds of hours learning the in-depth combat mechanics. So I can't really trust what he says anyways, especially when he's the only one saying it. And no offense to him, it's just a different type of thing, right? But if that's true, that would also be a significant problem. Third thing is how Essence works. And this I have a couple clips for. So we see here Yakumo in his boss fight. And here, an Essence Orb dropped. In the previous games, you could get Essence and do UTs on bosses, which was very strong, like fighting Doku in any of his versions, either of his versions in Ninja Gaiden Black, even the Resetsus in Ninja Gaiden 2. However, you had to earn it. You had to take out some ads to get that Essence. Even though you could, like with the Resetsu fights, you can just ET chain, because one of those IS ninjas gonna run into your fucking lunar UT, and you can just chain UTs, but it's still like hard. It's not as trivial as it sounds. This is trivial. And I really hope on the higher difficulties, at least, this is taken away, so it doesn't force the player to specifically restrict themselves. Now, because you can just infinitely get UTs. You can just perfect block and get a UT. And I don't even know what the criteria like really are for getting an essence to drop. But having bosses just drop essence periodically based on some criteria is like way too strong. If like those essence orbs are the only way to heal yourself, then it's okay. But people have also talked about there being healing items, so that also kind of like would ruin that. So I'm glad they brought essence back, but this makes you way too strong on boss fights, and in Master Ninja, at least this better not be the case. Otherwise, it's trivial. Also, a thing I don't like about essence is it doesn't drag. So like we see Yakumo here. Okay, this is nothing I want to touch on. People have talked about Ninja Run, how you can just like run past bullets. There's one clip that I can't find right now, but where Ryu basically does a wall run, and like the bullets don't seem to be damaging him during the wall run, and they're saying that is the equivalent of Ninja Run in fucking MGR, where in MGR, like when you're running, you basically are invulnerable. But I don't really think that's the case, because we see a lot of places here where there's bullets being pelted at them and they still like go after the enemy. Same with like here, this Ryu footage. He ends up like throwing shuriken and going after the enemy. That again, that's not the same thing as Witch Time there. So he's still having to take out these dudes with guns as fast as possible. And in a second here, we're gonna see him like this dude that's standing on the ledge. Okay, so first, before I go on that rant, the reason I pulled this clip up mainly was for Essence. Essence, he's not holding block constantly. And Essence is just sitting there. In Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2, Essence management is a very like real skill and something that's difficult to master. What essence are you going to absorb? When are you going to absorb it? Which are you going to use for your UTs? When are you going to use it for UTs? Do I use this to heal? Do I get a UT? Blah, 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 blah. And it completely like is how you control your money in the game as well. The fact that Essence just sits here while Ryu does what he wants, that completely like ruins the entire skill of Essence management, which is also something I don't like to see. Essence management should be a skill that you have to manage. It doesn't ruin the game, like a parry clash would ruin the game, but it is, like, pretty disappointing. Especially since these essence orbs, blood essence heals you, so it's like a bunch of blue orbs. And I think you basically press a button if you want it. It's what it seems like. You press a button that would absorb it for a heal, or you just hold Y or do an on landing and absorb it for a UT. Look at that. Look at how many essence were sitting around when he absorbed that there. There was like fucking 8 of them laying around. And he didn't really have to control when he was going to absorb it. Just as soon as he wanted to drop a UT, he absorbed it and dropped it. This is another problem that this is the type of shit that true Ninja Gaiden fans should have an issue with, but nobody talks about because all they can do is parrot. Oh, it's MGR too. But this is something I really don't fucking like to see. Parry clashes, the upgrade system, the essence system, and Ryu's weapons, obviously, but that's not a mechanical thing. That's just shitty, whatever you want to call it, shitty DLC that we're being forced to get. But like it doesn't really, I would have bought the deluxe either way, so it doesn't really matter. If that makes me a shill, what the fuck ever. But see, Yakumo gets another essence here, and whenever he wants, he can just unleash a UT on the boss. Or absorb it for a heal. So that takes the entire skill out of the boss fight. If you were forced to kill ads to get it, cool. But you're not. You don't even have to control when you absorb it, which also is something I just don't like. So again here, like going back, I do want to touch on this since I'm in a video, even though that's not the, I like to make videos with specific points, but like Yakumo's not deflecting those bullets, right? He's just not, like he took damage. You can see there's damage taken there. So like maybe Ryu has something where he can fucking deflect bullets or they don't hurt him because he's wearing a full plate of Batman armor. I don't fucking know, but either way, calm down with the ninja run shit. But yeah, those are the three biggest things that I see as a problem with Ninja Gaiden 4 currently. And I really hope those are addressed in good ways. I really hope that you can start Master Ninja on a fresh playthrough, or at the very least, like it's balanced extremely well around you having everything. If Master Ninja is balanced around you having a full health bar, all your upgrades, it better be balls to the wall tough. Like those enemies better be fucking coming to get you. Otherwise, it's just going to be entirely too easy. Like it's significantly too easy. Because the entire challenge with Master Ninja runs is the beginning of it. I mean, that's where like Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, I think the hate for that game is fucking retarded. But the first two chapters are way too easy. The first three chapters are way too easy. There's a couple like hard fights in each chapter, but overall, like compared to NG2, those first two chapters, you have to earn that shit. In Ninja Gaiden Black, you have to earn that shit. In Razor's Edge, you have to earn that shit on your first Ultimate Ninja run. So I'm afraid that Master Ninja is going to be too fucking easy, and they're going to have to really crank that shit up to 11 to like give a true Master Ninja experience while having everything unlocked. Parry clashes better not exist. If they do exist, it better be an accessibility feature that you can completely fucking ignore. Because you can't tell me that if I, like, you can't just attack when an enemy's attacking you and fucking get away with it for free. That's fucking terrible design. Essence management is way too easy as well. They dumbed it down. They dumbed down the essence system. That's what it is. And that I don't like to see. I don't like to see a dumbed down essence system because it's such a fun dynamic. The little mini game of like controlling essence and dragging it and chaining it and doing all that shit. That is like one of the most fun things about NGB and NG2. So that I really don't fucking like to see. So yeah, those are my personal biggest concerns about Ninja Gaiden 4. Again, like the purpose of videos are different purposes. My first video was like basically like, no, it doesn't look like fucking MGR because it fucking doesn't. My second video was showing that it still has the Ninja Gaiden feel, because you can't tell me that this doesn't look like Ninja Gaiden. Like, look at that. So if he could ninja run, why did he just get pelted with fucking rockets? Like, he knew he had to go take that guy out. If you can just, like, ninja run past that shit, there would be no point to, like, go take out that rocket launcher. It just wouldn't matter. Again, boom, pelted by rockets. So yeah, there's one clip of him running on the wall, but maybe he just took negligible damage. I don't fucking know. I can't even like recall an instance of. I've never like really tested that. I'll go test it right now. I'll do it in NGB and NG2. If you're getting shot with bullets and wall running, do you get interrupted? I honestly don't know. I can't like recall a situation where I've done that. So maybe it's just that, right? Like you can run and not take damage. Ryu could never really run before. Or not get interrupted is what I should say, because like the damage from bullets, like if you see, it's super negligible, even in like NGB and NG2. Like when you're getting shot with the fucking automatic rifle, it doesn't really do shit to Ryu. It interrupts you, it stuns you. I have seen instances of Ryu blocking bullets as well. So like in Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2 and 3, you can block guns with no problem. You can block rocket launchers, single rocket launchers in NG2 with no problem as well. So, yeah, I don't think that's really a concern. But yeah, anyways, those are my concerns. I really hope those are handled well. And those are the things that are going to kind of like make or break the game for me personally, is how those three aspects are handled. Upgrades, New Game Plus, Essence, and the Clash mechanic being there or not being there. So yeah, another rant. Peace.